This country celebrates an American hero. We learned late today astronaut and Senator John Glenn has died.
Godspeed, John Glenn.
The first American astronaut to orbit the Earth. Tonight, in his own words. Also breaking tonight, the winter storms hitting now. The driving has turned deadly. The pileups across several states, the images coming in. Up to 70 cars involved in just one chain reaction crash. As we come on, new reporting tonight after 2 police officers are targeted. Both of them shot, and now word the second officer has died. Was it excessive force? The student with the knife and the officer who then fired the shot. Tonight, some asking, did he have another option? And holiday shoppers beware tonight. The lawsuit breaking as we come on. Several major department stores now accused of making you believe you're getting a better deal than you actually are. We have the list.
This is ABC World News Tonight with David Muir.
Good evening, and it's great to have you with us here on a Thursday night, and we begin with the passing of a true American hero. Former astronaut, war hero, and U.S. Senator from Ohio, John Glenn, has died. The first American to orbit the Earth. He was the last surviving member of the original Mercury 7 astronauts, a symbol of the American spirit. His nearly 5-hour flight solidifying America's place in the space race with the Soviet Union, giving the country a much-needed victory at the time. Once asked how he'd like to be remembered, Glenn said he'll, quote, leave that to the other people. And so we begin with ABC's David Wright.
10, 9.
He was a pioneer and a patriot, launched into history with this iconic send-off from Mission Control.
Godspeed, John Glenn.
Later, John Glenn confessed he actually didn't hear that phrase as Friendship 7 lifted off.
0G, and I feel fine. Capsule is turning around. Oh, that view is tremendous.
At the height of the space race, John Glenn was the first American to orbit the Earth.
This is Friendship 7 reading you loud and clear.
Glenn was easily the most famous of those 7 original astronauts. That's him, second in from the right. A decorated Marine Corps pilot in 2 wars, his wingman in Korea was baseball legend Ted Williams.
Say again your instructions, please. Over.
The world held its breath for his mission. When he splashed down safely after 3 orbits, he was an American hero.
Welcome to Washington. Welcome back to this planet.
Colonel Glenn later quit the space program for a career in politics. In the U.S. Senate, he distinguished himself on nuclear arms control issues in particular. He was still a sitting senator when, at age 77, he returned to space aboard the Space Shuttle Discovery.
Liftoff of Discovery with a crew of 6 astronaut heroes and 1 American legend.
The mission? To study weightlessness on the elderly. John Glenn, now the oldest astronaut ever to orbit. That mission inspired seniors around the world.
One thing I promised Annie the day we were married, in addition to our wedding vows, of course, was that I would do everything I could to keep life from being boring.
Boring, his life was not. In his later years, John Glenn liked to joke that science has yet to come up with a cure for the common birthday. He had 95 of them. Godspeed. David Wright, ABC News, New York.
An incredible American life. And later tonight, John Glenn, in his own words, that moment something went wrong as he was orbiting the Earth, and what we all saw as Americans when he emerged from that capsule. That's later. In the meantime, we move on tonight and to the other news. The deadly storms hitting at this hour, 2 separate systems, pileups across several states. At least 3 people killed in a massive pileup on I-96 in Michigan. Up to 40 vehicles involved in that chain reaction crash in whiteout conditions there. Heavy snow falling in Buffalo, New York, up to 3 feet of snow expected. The map tonight showing the Arctic blast from the Rockies all the way to the east, some wind chills plunging to 20 degrees below zero. ABC's Philip Mena is in Michigan.
Tonight along the Great Lakes, the first major snowstorm of the year is wreaking havoc for drivers. A mangled mess of up to 70 tractor trailers and cars on Interstate 90 just west of Erie, Pennsylvania.
Watch the guy climb out of this seat.
Towing company owner Paul Pardo right there as first responders race to pull victims from the wreckage. Roads going from clear to whiteout in an instant, bringing wrecks all along the Great Lakes, from Ohio to western New York, where snowfall over 2 inches an hour made it hard to even walk.
This is a skating rink There's 2 more going in the ditch.
On Interstate 96, east of Lansing, Michigan, at least 3 people were killed in this 40-vehicle chain reaction crash that left some of the injured trapped in their cars. The storms, fueled by that Arctic blast moving over the Great Lakes.
Look at it spin! Guys, that's reaching.
Powerful enough to spawn this waterspout over Lake Erie. That bitter cold air spreading south and east tonight. And David, I'm right by that Michigan highway. Part of the road has reopened, but officials are still asking drivers to stay off of these icy roads. It is going to freeze again tonight, David.
All right, good advice, Phil. Thanks. Let's get right to meteorologist Rob Marciano. He's in Springville, New York, with more on this system. Rob?
David, the snow, as you can see, is blowing sideways, already a foot on the ground, which means in parking lots like this, mounds are piling up well over my head. Check out the radar, all the Great Lakes, all very warm, all open for business with lake effect. Now Cleveland, you're in it, will continue to be. To the west we go, Portland, winter storm warning up there as that Pacific storm moves into this Arctic air. We're just gonna hang around. Look at these numbers tomorrow morning. It's gonna feel like minus 25 in North Dakota, minus 2 in Minneapolis, 9 in Indianapolis, and 20 in Birmingham. That cold does stick around. Lake effect snow warnings here, David, until Saturday.
Till Saturday, Rob Marciano, perhaps till April. In the meantime, we move next tonight to the dramatic prison break in South Carolina. The new images coming in this evening. Michael Williamson serving life in prison, breaking free, caught on surveillance here at a Walmart hours after escaping from a maximum security facility. He's accused of stabbing a female police officer there and then trying to break into an elementary school later. And you'll see the new images of that right here tonight. ABC's Lindsay Janis with how this ends.
Tonight, that massive 14-hour manhunt. It's after dark when authorities discover Michael Allen Williamson is missing from the South Carolina maximum security prison where he was serving a life sentence, possibly escaping in a food truck. The dangerous criminal convicted of armed robbery and assault with intent to kill travels 80 miles to a Walmart where he is seen in this surveillance image and is allegedly caught shoplifting. That's when authorities say he stabs a 26-year-old female officer in the arm and shoulder.
Officer stabbed at 1326 Bush River Road. Location is Walmart.
Then, this morning, this exclusive surveillance video shows Williamson trying to get into an elementary school. But the school is locked, and moments later, officers are able to capture him.
And David, that officer who was stabbed at Walmart is recovering well, and she has been released from the hospital. David?
That's encouraging. Lindsay Janis with us. Lindsay, thank you. Also tonight, new developments in the deadly police shooting in Americus, Georgia. Late today, we learned the second officer shot has now died as well. The intense manhunt for the suspect coming to an end this morning. The SWAT team swarming a home. The suspect barricaded inside. Police say he took his own life. The 2 officers were killed responding to a domestic dispute. We turn next here to the heated debate over the shooting of a high school student in Nevada. He had a knife. Students were terrified all around him. The 14-year-old boy is seen on camera swinging that large knife, threatening classmates critically wounded by a school officer. ABC's Matt Gutman reports tonight there are growing questions. Did the officer have any other options?
Tonight, as Reno police investigate a school resource officer's shooting of this knife-wielding teen.
Bro, he just shot the kid.
The 14-year-old's family is saying what you see here wasn't a thwarted lone wolf attack, but a case of self-defense gone wrong.
This should have been a situation that was obviously subject to control by non-lethal means.
The family saying the 14-year-old was a troubled boy with special needs.
You had a very mentally unhinged student attempting to keep people away from him by swinging knives in the air.
His father posting on Facebook that his son was merely defending himself against bullies. As the boy slashes at the air, lunging at students, you can hear voices yell, "Back up." Seconds later, that officer fires. Today, the school superintendent commending the response.
Those plans worked flawlessly.
That boy's lawyer saying he could lose a lung and suffer brain damage. Now, all day we've been asking the Reno Police Department whether that school resource officer had non-lethal means at his disposal. So far, David, no response.
Matt Gutman, thank you. Next tonight, President-elect Donald Trump visiting survivors and first responders of the attack at Ohio State University. Mr. Trump also making headlines tonight after launching a new war of words against the union leader at Carrier, the company Mr. Trump just visited to announce more than 1,000 jobs had been saved. That union leader had said the victory wasn't quite what it seemed. Here's ABC's Tom Yamas.
Tonight, President-elect Donald Trump at Ohio State University meeting with victims of last week's harrowing campus knife attack by a suspected terrorist.
These were really brave people.
It comes amid a new battle over another high-profile trip, Trump's visit to the Carrier plant, and his announcement he'd convinced the company not to send Indiana factory jobs to Mexico.
And now they're keeping, actually the number is over 1,100 people, which is so great.
Turns out it's really 800 jobs slated for Mexico that were saved, not 1,100. 600 Carrier jobs at that factory are still going across the border. Chuck Jones, the union leader representing those workers, says Trump, quote, lied his expletive off.
If you're dealing with people's livelihoods, you sure as the world ought to know what the numbers are.
Less than 20 minutes later, the president-elect firing off these tweets. Chuck Jones has done a terrible job representing workers. No wonder companies flee. Spend more time working, less time talking, reduce dues.
He overreacted, President-elect Trump did.
Jones says he's now getting death threats. It's the second time this week Trump has used Twitter to lash out at a critic. 1 hour after the CEO of Boeing was quoted questioning the president-elect's approach to China, Trump tweeting, Boeing is building a brand new 747 Air Force One for future presidents, but costs are out of control. Cancel order. The president-elect's battle with the Carrier union leader comes as he picks fast food executive Andrew Puzder for Secretary of Labor.
Grass-fed beef.
Puzder's company owns Hardee's and Carl's Jr., best known for these racy ads. He's a vocal opponent of raising the minimum wage to $10.10 and of expanding overtime pay eligibility to 4 million Americans. Puzder himself is a millionaire, one of 9 millionaires and billionaires named to the Trump cabinet so far.
And Tom Yamas with us live tonight in Iowa. And Tom, millions of Americans knew Donald Trump long before the presidency from his time with The Apprentice. And you have news tonight he's going to stay connected to that TV show even as president?
David, MGM, which holds a majority stake in The Apprentice, telling us tonight that the president-elect will remain an executive producer of Celebrity Apprentice while he's in the White House, and a spokeswoman for Trump telling us that we're going to learn additional details of all of his business interests at a news conference next Thursday. David?
Tom Yamas, our thanks to you again tonight. Hillary Clinton, meanwhile, is back in the news tonight in Washington, but admittedly not as she hoped. Secretary Clinton was on Capitol Hill for the first time since losing the election, speaking at a tribute to retiring Senator Harry Reid. It was a rare appearance in public for Mrs. Clinton since the election, and even she used humor to address all of those selfies with supporters she bumped into along the way, even in the woods.
This is not exactly the speech at the Capitol I hoped to be giving after the election. But after a few weeks of taking selfies in the woods, I thought it would be a good idea to come out. And I am very grateful.
Mrs. Clinton also taking on the serious subject of fake news after the election, saying it can have, quote, real-world consequences, putting the lives of ordinary people at risk. Overseas tonight and inside Aleppo with our team, the devastated city at the center of Syria's nearly 6-year-old civil war. Our team, in fact, in the middle of a fierce firefight. Syrian forces backed by Russia appear on the verge of seizing total control of rebel-held territory. ABC's Alex Marquardt shows us the carved-out tunnels being used in this fight.
The rebels holding out in Aleppo, this is their desperate last stand. We saw the battle unfold in the historic old city.
The government forces have regained most of the territory that the rebels control in Aleppo, but as you can see and hear, the fight for this city is very much taking place right in its heart.
From the magnificent but battered citadel, Assad regime forces poured heavy fire down onto rebel positions. The rebels firing right back. The fight intensifying, so we backed off the front through the maze of alleyways and across a square.
We're trying to get out of here because now the rebels are lobbing mortars.
This World Heritage Site, once a jewel of this country, now a ravaged battlefield.
These tunnels have been knocked through the walls so that we don't have to walk in the street and avoid snipers.
And here we find the last shopkeeper in the old city. But his only customers these days, soldiers. He tells us there are just 5 civilian families left in the old city. A victory for the Assad regime here would be their greatest in years. But after their crippling siege and merciless bombardment, it would come at an extraordinary cost. Alex Marquardt, ABC News, Aleppo.
Our thanks to Alex and the team in Syria tonight. And there is still much more ahead on World News Tonight this Thursday. 2 powerful earthquakes striking, the worries that came after. Also tonight, holiday shoppers beware. The lawsuit just in. New reporting tonight what these major retailers are accused of doing to shoppers. We'll get to the bottom of it. Also, the surprise finding by researchers tonight involving life expectancy for Americans. And the young woman in the fight of her life, the dream she accomplished standing right there with Alex Trebek. And what we heard from that game show host tonight.
If you have moderate to severe plaque psoriasis,